You've reached the High Fashion Hotline.
Hi, my family has big plans for Labor Day weekend, but our outfits aren't measuring up.
Then get to Old Navy.
Old Navy?
Yep, Old Navy's huge Labor Day sale is on now. Get 50% off all jeans, 50% off all dresses, 50% off all tees, and 50% off all sweatshirts and hoodies for the whole family.
50% off all those styles? That's a big deal.
So is this. Styles start at just $6 at Old Navy and OldNavy.com.
Change of plans. We're spending the weekend at Old Navy.
High fashion, Old Navy. Valid 8/30 to 9/3. Excludes in-store clearance. Active licensed and men's package tees.
Blog Talk Radio.
Warning. What you are about to hear are the views of Travis Pope and the Oklahoma Tomcat and is not supported by the government. Agreeing with the hosts of this show could cause you to be targeted by the government and government agencies. You have been warned.
Good morning, Oklahoma, the greatest state in the Union. Now, have I ever told y'all that when God blessed America, he created Oklahoma? I am the Oklahoma Tomcat, coming to you from Oklahoma, and I'm kind of doing this show solo for right now. Miss Producer, again, is not made it on because she has things going on at home. And Travis, he's busy picking up freight this morning. But he will be on a little later. So for the first part anyway, we will be, you're blessed with just listening to my great voice and my greatness and my great knowledge that I have, because everything I do is great. Today, though, we have a very, very, very special show for you. We will have Larry Sharpe coming on in about a half hour. Larry Sharpe, he is running for governor of New York. He is a Libertarian, and I've been following Larry both online and watching his interviews and videos and stuff like that. And as you guys know, normally we have guests come on Sunday. The reason that Travis and I have been doing that, which, by the way, that will be changing, but the reason we've been doing that is because Sundays we are normally sitting still. For those of you who have not been listening to our show, Travis and I are over-the-road truck drivers. Actually, now we're regional, which is why we're going to be changing our schedule. But the reason we have guests on Sundays because there's a better chance we're sitting still on Sunday to where we can focus on the interviews. We put a lot of we try our very best to make it to where the interviews that we do, or when we have a guest on, that we're totally focused on the guest and not distracted by a lot of our things that our job does. Also, we want to make sure we have a good signal, so that being stationary helps with that. Anyone who travels the United States knows that no matter what carrier you're with, you're going to go in and out of signal. So we've been doing the shows on Sunday. I made an exception with Larry Sharpe because Larry Sharpe is a very, very busy person himself. His schedule is packed, and it's extremely hard to get a show with him, coming on. And I had to make an exception with him. But that's okay because currently I am home. So I'm stationary. I'm not moving around, and we can focus on getting his message out. And people's been asking me, why am I, so passionate about getting Larry Sharpe on our show. And why I'm so focused on the New York election as well as the Oklahoma election. I live in Oklahoma, and I say that Oklahoma's the greatest state in the union. So why am I so focused on Oklahoma? The reason why is because I know a lot of people in New York. And I have family in New York. I was born and raised in Sullivan County, New York, which is in the Catskill Mountains. Very, very beautiful area. Gorgeous. And I've always told people it's a sportsman's paradise. We have lots of streams coming down from the mountains. We got the lots of, believe it or not, there are lots of trees in New York. We have got forests, we got deer, it is a beautiful area. In the fall, you can look throughout the mountains and see all the different colors that autumn brings. Extremely beautiful area, and we got all four seasons. I loved it. It's a gorgeous area. If you've never been up in the Catskill Mountains, I highly encourage you to go up there and visit. And I emphasize the visit because living in New York it's very difficult. Very, very difficult unless you are rich. The jobs up there, very, very slim pickings. The pay, you're barely getting by. A lot of people on government assistance. And it's very sad. It's very, very sad that New York has gotten to such a position. And that is why I left New York. If New York would make it easier for people to get good jobs and make a living without being on government assistance, both my wife and I have said, we would go back up there because it is gorgeous. And I love the way the homes are designed up there. Every house we've ever lived in up in New York, had a huge dining room, separate kitchen. It's 2 stories with the bedrooms upstairs, 2 bathrooms. The homes are neat up there. At least in the area where I grew up. It may be different in different areas, but very, very, very nice. But you can't, it's very hard to make a living up there. Very hard. I really feel bad for the people who are trapped up there because it's expensive. The taxes are outrageous. And that's what makes it also expensive because those of you that are for, taxes and stuff, you drive up the cost of living when you do that, and really it hurts the poor. It doesn't help them. Being on government assistance really traps you and makes it very hard to get anywheres. I always tell people, there are people who get out of government assistance. There are. And you can do it. But it isn't easy. Because, first of all, you got this middle ground you got to get by where now you no longer qualify for government assistance, but you're still not making enough to make a living. Okay, that's kind of like, where you hear people say that, you're trapped in the middle there. But also the fact that once you get on the government assistance, it's very easy to fall into human nature to where, why try? This is a lot easier, and that's where a lot of people land, where, it's now hopeless. But at the same time, you never get anywhere, you'll end up dying in poverty. But, so, a lot of people do not get out of government assistance. In fact, the government assistance is designed to keep you in it. because they do not do anything to help you excel in life, or to, especially those that are like caught in the middle where they're now laid off from their job and they got to find something else, and they have to change fields because, the field they're in is non-existent anymore. So, and there's stuff that, we'll get with Larry Sharpe about, find out what his plans are and everything as a libertarian. Something else I want to discuss with him is, he has a great way of explaining what libertarian is, and we're going to let him explain that because, as you guys have seen on our shows, we do talk about that. What is a libertarian? This is one of the biggest hurdles that us libertarians have, is the fact that a lot of people don't know what a libertarian is. They don't know what we stand for. You got people on the right that say we're liberal. You got people on the left that say we're conservative. And the thing is, we're neither conservative or liberal politically. And Larry Sharpe has been, trying to explain to people what a libertarian is. And he does it very, very well. In fact, I saw it on Twitter first time I saw him say what a libertarian is. I was like, oh, that is perfect, and I've shared it. But for those of you that don't follow me on Facebook or Twitter, I'll have him explain what a libertarian is on this show, and we'll talk a little bit more on that, because that's the thing we're really trying to get the message out on, because really both Republicans and Democrats do agree with us on several things, and what we're trying to show is, you may personally be a conservative or a liberal, in your personal life. A libertarian, we welcome both sides, It's just the only thing is you cannot force yourself on others, For instance, both Travis and I, if you listen to the show, you probably picked up the fact that Travis and I are both conservative in our personal life. And so is Edith, our producer. But now Edith, she's still registered as a Republican, but we're hoping that she'll get on board with us on the Libertarian. The good news is she does support Larry Sharpe. It's too bad she isn't on the show today, because this here is a having Larry Sharpe on. She will be voting in this election, and she may have questions herself for him. But and I think that's their. I have no producer on, so I'm going to have to go ahead and bring callers on and screen them on the air. So here we got a caller. I think it may be trapped. Oh, we lost him. Excuse me while I check my messages to make sure Travis didn't just try. It may be just somebody who's. Yep, here we go. Hello.
Good morning from Wyoming.
And it is Travis. All right. Good. I was just explaining to everybody about why I'm so involved in New York's elections, and also about the Libertarian Party. One of the things we're going to be talking to Larry Sharpe about is having him explain what is Libertarian, because he has a very great way of explaining it. Because so many people are confused about the Libertarians. But how are you doing this morning? You got loaded and everything?
No, they're loading me now, and after that I got to tarp this thing, but good that it's not 100 degrees and the wind ain't blowing. I am up here in Casper, Wyoming.
Ugh. Tarp, what are you hauling?
Sack material for the oil field.
Okay.
But yesterday, man, I'm glad I didn't get loaded yesterday, man. It was bad up here. Rain, hail, high winds, 40-mile-per-hour winds. I was like, man, I hope he don't put me on a tarp load.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people don't realize we haul flatbed, so we have a little bit more work to do than these van trailers and van trucks. We actually have to work, and then when we get a load that we have to tarp, and if those winds are blowing 40, 50, 60 miles per hour out here, even 10 miles per hour, it'll pick up them tarps, and well, little people like you, it'll carry you kind of a ways off. Especially with all your weight loss. Loss. Like I said, next time you have to tarp in the heavy wind like that, just wrap that tarp around your neck and act like Superman.
Yeah, I mean, it blew me off once before, and now I'm down to 145, so
hey,
a lot more later.
Yeah, we got a picture of you where you was trying to strap down your load, and you actually picked yourself up off the ground trying to tighten your straps.
Yeah. Yep, and two, what was my weight then? It was
well, you had just lost 12 pounds.
Yeah, so it was like 160 something or something like that. Now I'm down to 145. Yeah, and then oh man, it was funny this morning because I was doing my workouts with my daughter, and she all day yesterday she was like, "Oh, I'm gonna beat you in the run. I'm gonna beat you in the run." Of course, that's all she was focused on was the running. She wasn't focused at all on the other types of workouts she's gonna be doing today. And it was hilarious. She was out with the squat thrust.
Now, mind everybody, his daughter is like what, 12 years old?
Yep, 12 years old. Yeah.
That's child abuse there, man.
What are you talking about? She's young. She should be able to do the stuff with ease. She should be running circles around me. But yeah, we did the sit-ups. We did first. We started out with the stretches, and then we did sit-ups. We did squat thrusts. We did jumping jacks, and we ran almost about half a mile.
Yeah, I find it funny. I've got a kid too, and I can sit there and watch them run all day long and do jumping jacks. I mean not jumping jacks, not literally jumping jacks on their own, but but just do whatever they want, and they never run out of energy. And then when you tell them to clean their room, all of a sudden they have no energy. They lay down, go to sleep. They sit down like, oh, I can't do it. It's too heavy. You're like, really? You're just outside running all day long, and now all of a sudden you go clean your room or go wash the dishes, and they're like, oh, I'm too tired. It's too hard. Oh my God. My arm hurts. arm hurts, but you just rolled down a hill. You just rolled down a hill, hit a bunch of rocks, fell off a cliff, and I tell you to do dishes, and now your arm hurts. Wow.
Yeah, that's what's real funny too. Is my daughter's like that. She can go outside and she runs all over the place. She plays. We got a trampoline. She likes jumping on but man, the workouts this morning. I was watching around to make sure that Child Protection Services didn't show up or anything because it sounded like I was torturing her. I'm like, man,
Yeah, it's funny watching kids do that. Like my son, one of his chores is to help keep the inside of this truck clean. Because even though he's with me and I do homeschooling with him out here, he does have chores, and he will sit down immediately instead of just getting up and getting it done. He will sit down immediately and act like it's killing him.
Yeah.
And,
that's how my daughter is. She's the same way when it comes to cleaning her room and stuff. And even with these workouts, I told her she needs to start doing them every day, because that should be part of her schooling. And I told her that if she was going to public school, they have gym, and you got to do the gym and all that, even though that's only once a week. But, and I think I want you doing this every single day.
They only have gym once a week in their school?
I believe so. I'm not really talking from experience.
Man, we had PE every freaking day in my school.
Oh, and when I was growing up, we had it twice or 3 times a week. I don't remember. I know it wasn't every day. We had recess every day. But yeah, we had gym. I want to say it was every other day. We had PE
every day when I was growing up.
Wow.
Now, when I was in elementary, we had recess, but once I hit intermediate school and junior high, we had PE every day. Now high school we could choose to have or something. But intermediate school, we still had to have PE and everything.
Yeah, I don't remember elementary school. I think PE was more often in elementary school, and then when we got intermediate and high school, it was cut. But also in elementary school, we had recess after lunch every day. And then in intermediate and high school, it wasn't recess, but it was like free time after lunch.
Yeah.
But yeah, for her, I was like, now I had, it felt like I had PE every day because I was in both track and cross country skiing. But but that was after school.
Yeah. Yep. We had, like I said, we had PE every day. So.
Yeah.
Then I was in football in high school, so I had football every day.
Mhm. It sounds like you're starting to break up.
Yeah, I am in Wyoming.
Yeah. Oh man. Yep. Well, we're going to be going on break here shortly. Let me take this time to talk to you guys about Earthwater. Earthwater is a really unique type of water. Really good for if you are working out and losing weight. Earth water is great because it has over 70 trace minerals and it's pH balanced. Then that means that, number one, it helps in reducing your risk of cancer, and it also helps with weight loss, and it also helps nourish and replenish your body. If you go to earthwater.com/PTAT, that's Papa Tango Alpha Tango, you get a discount. And this water, now let me warn everybody, this water is black. Discourage you. It still tastes great. It tastes just like water. I've heard that you want to drink this water cold because if you drink it warm, you do taste a little bit of the minerals. But that's earthwater.com/PTAT. That's Papa Tango Alpha Tango. Go there, get your discount, buy one case and give it a try. It's really, really good. I encourage it, and especially, like I said, if you're working out, if you're out in the heat, and if you're driving flatbeds and you're tarping, you're going to want to replenish all those nutrients that you're losing. When we return, we will be talking to Larry Sharpe. Again, he's running for governor of New York. He's a Libertarian. And I've been watching his videos. He is extremely, extremely good with explaining the Libertarian Party and what he plans on doing in New York. We'll be back after these messages. And like I said, I am also playing Miss Producer, so bear with me.
Water sucks.
Water is good
really
for you. Water's good for you. You need lots of water. No, Gatorade has lots of salt and sugar and all that stuff. No, water. Pure water. Earth water.
The Liberty National Network.
A boy born in Joplin, Missouri was fascinated by anything with wheels and a motor. The odds of him going on to fascinate millions with his talent? 1 in 260,000. The odds of this born racer having 157 career top 10 finishes in NASCAR? 1 in 125 billion. But every driver seeks the pinnacle of their achievements. The odds of him winning both the Daytona 500 and the Brickyard 400 in the same year? 1 in 195 million. The odds of a child being diagnosed with autism? 1 in 68. I'm NASCAR driver Jamie McMurray, and my niece has autism. Learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs. Early diagnosis can make a lifetime of difference. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
You may have doubts about healthcare sharing. I know we did. We studied literature about Samaritan Ministries, but we feared that it was just too risky. Instead, as our health insurance premiums went up each year, we would increase our deductible to reduce the premium. And then the inevitable happened. We had to use our insurance. We had a medical need that included tests, doctor visits, and even outpatient surgery treatment that totaled over $7,000, and it was all out of pocket. It took us 3 years to pay off, even after several of our healthcare providers reduced their charges. And we finally took a leap of faith and joined Samaritan.
Each month, we get to give to an actual person with a medical need. We pray for them and put them in the hands of the Lord for physical, emotional, and financial strength and healing. There's no way to fully express that pleasure and joy. During the first year we were members, we had a medical need, and it was all provided for. And the strength, peace, and healing from prayer.
Last year, our son was injured on a mission trip, 1,200 miles from home. And the bills for the emergency room, doctors, stitches, and prescriptions totaled $5,300. But every last cent was provided for. In fact, last year we had 2 more needs, and each time our Samaritan family came through.
I worked in healthcare for 10 years, from front desk through billing. I would recommend Samaritan instead of any insurance product out there. Insurance has no assurances. In fact, it seems everything is written in such a way that there will be no assurance at your time of need. We just wish that we had trusted in God's provision sooner.
It is such a blessing to come alongside our brothers and sisters in Christ and share in each other's healthcare burdens. And there's such a peace and joy knowing that God is answering our prayers, bringing healing and providing for our needs.
Hi, I'm Eric, a student at Hillsdale College. Here is President of Hillsdale College, Dr. Larry Arnn, on natural rights versus entitlements.
America was founded on the idea that human beings are born with natural rights, such as the rights to life, liberty, and property. A person who holds this view of rights makes no demands on others except that they respect those rights. Today, however, many Americans talk about rights to a college education, state-of-the-art medical care, and even birth control pills. These are rights understood as entitlements, and a person who holds this view of rights, far from making no demands on other people, is making claims on other people's money and resources. This understanding of rights not only sets citizens against each other, but it undermines the whole idea of natural rights.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To receive a free pocket Constitution and Declaration, go to constitutionminute.com.
Miss Producer is also known as Miss Giggles. You are listening to Political TNT on the Liberty National Network. If you want to be part of the show, dial 914-338-1906 and then press 1.
All right, welcome back to Political TNT, and we have on the phone Larry Sharpe. Welcome to the show, Larry.
Thanks for having me, brother. I appreciate it.
I appreciate so much you being on the show. How about first telling us who you are and why are you running for governor of New York?
Oh, that's a boring question. I'm kidding. I'll give you the quick one. I hear this one all the time.
Yeah.
I'm Larry Sharpe. I'm running for governor of New York. I'm born in Manhattan, raised in the Bronx, also on Long Island. My mother was a victim of the drug war. I'm a former Marine. I'm an entrepreneur. And right now I've been doing this for about 13 years. And I have classes that I teach at different colleges. I have large clients like Models and the government of Singapore and Estee Lauder, and smaller clients like law firms and tech companies. And I spend most of my time prior to doing this helping people to grow their businesses, teaching leadership, teaching marketing, teaching branding, networking. I've been a guest instructor at the graduate level of both Yale and Columbia. And now I'm sitting there running for governor. And I'm running for governor because, as you know personally, man, New York is a tough place to live. And we're losing over 100,000 New Yorkers every single year. You told me you were one of them. And I was going to be one of them. I was literally looking at property in North Carolina to pack up and just get out of here. And then I realized, why am I doing this? I shouldn't do this. I should instead try to change my state. So I'm running for governor to make change. I'm talking about things no one else is talking about. I'm talking about changing how government works. I'm talking about changing what it means to be a New Yorker. And big, bold ideas and plans that are making New Yorkers thinking, oh, wow, maybe the old ways aren't working anymore. Maybe the old ways of just voting red or blue and letting the things continue to decay in this state are not the right answer. And we do see it. If you look across the border, you see more prosperous states. You see many New Yorkers leaving, and the four most common states they're going to are either North Carolina, South Carolina, Florida, or Tennessee. They're going everywhere, but those are the four that a lot of people are going to. They're just packing up and they're leaving, and this is a problem.
Yes, and I've seen where the states like Florida are saying, thank you, New York, because you're building up their state. With people moving down,
yes.
Good help moving down there. That's one of the bad things. You're losing a lot of good people.
Yes, and we're losing retirees, which is a problem because they all are getting retirement income, and that income now is going into local businesses and economies, and those economies now who are getting it are Florida and North Carolina and South Carolina, and not New York. New York was ranked the hardest place for people to retire. And by Cato, New York was ranked 50th when it comes to freedom. Yes, we beat California. Take that, California. We're number one. So we are the least free state in the union. Yes, the least free state in the union and the most inhospitable to retirement. The problem you have in New York State more than any other state that I see is we are all about old money. New York State loves old Wall Street banker money. We love that. If it's not old Wall Street banker money, it's bad. We don't like that. We've pushed out cryptocurrency, blockchain. We've pushed out hemp and cannabis. We were trying to push out Uber, Airbnb, and the vaping industry. We're doing our best to push out anything new and different. And then, of course, when you do that, what happens? The youth leave. The youngsters leave. The people who have the most excitement and drive, they pack up and they go someplace else. So they get educated here in New York State and then leave and don't come back. Or worse, they get educated someplace else, come back for a year, and then go back to where they were educated. So yet again, we have families and more families that are being broken up. Our terrible environment of lack of opportunity, along with a terrible, crushing tax bill, breaks up families, literally. There are people I know all the time who say, I only come back to New York because I have family here. Or I would leave New York except I have family here. Or I am heartbroken because I have to leave my family here while I leave. I mean, it breaks up families.
Yeah, and there's a couple of things I want to really address. I know you got a very, very busy schedule, but there's a couple of things. I have my rally this evening in Syracuse. Yeah,
Yep.
I had to make a special exemption for you to get on this show on a Friday because normally we do Sundays because you are all over the place. You got a lot of work to do, but there's a couple of things. I do. There's a couple of things that I see where you probably have the hardest trouble. And I've watched a lot of your interviews, and let me tell you something. Some of those shows you go on to, I feel like going through the computer screen and joking the person interviewing you. You know?
Yes.
I mean, I was
Yes.
yelling at my computer, every time I watch your interviews. Not because of you. You're saying great things, and I totally support you. But, the New Yorkers have gotten themselves into a trap, I feel, of where they feel they need big government, to help them out, to get them by. Like, it's kind of like taking a child and saying, okay, it's time for you to go on your own, You're doing good with getting out there and getting the messages through, but, what is it going to take to get the New Yorker? There's two things I know for a fact you can do this. Number one, you're a Marine. I'm
That's
Navy. True. Number two,
right, thank you.
You're a New Yorker, so you know how to fight. But how are you going to convince people to finally let go? Get on their own.
Yep, there's two sides. The first thing is the people who usually vote. As a general rule, those who usually vote because of fear, not because of hope. That's a good general rule. It's not a 100% rule. But if you vote often, if you're the kind of person who votes in every election and you vote very often, the odds are higher than most that you're voting because I vote left because I fear the right, or I vote right because I fear the left. Either of those two are true. That's the most common reason. So a lot of those people I'm going to have trouble getting. However, some of them, those who don't think about fear, I can get. That's the one good thing. But the bigger issue is I have to get people who don't vote. And New York State is one of the worst. 70% of New Yorkers don't vote. There will be over 7 million people who probably won't vote this year. 7 million just within my state. Only about 4 or 5 million will probably vote. That's about it. New York State has about 18 million people, about 12 million eligible voters, give or take. So there's a lot of people who are not going to vote. If I just get 5 or 10 or 15 or 20% of those, that's it. That's all I need. Here's the reason why. In this year specifically, this is going to be a 5-way race for governor. It's going to be His Majesty, who's running right now, King Andrew Cuomo. Yes, he's a king, so I call him that. There's a Republican sacrificial lamb. There's a Green Party guy. There'll be an independent, and then me. So that's 5 people running. New York State is a plurality state, not a majority state, which means all I have to do is get more than the rest. I get 30%, I win. 30% is a doable number. It's only about 1.5 million votes out of 4.5 million. Not the end of the world. This is a winnable race. Why am I telling you this? Because I don't have to convince 70% of the voters. I have to convince 30%. And there are lots of them that I will not be able to convince. You're right. They're too scared, Well, at least the government will give me something. But what if you change things and things get worse? People who are afraid make bad decisions. The last thing I want to do is make more people afraid. They will double down on bad decisions. It's what people do. So my goal is, you hear me interview, I don't just go, trash it all, destroy it all. I never do that. I say, here's a way that we can make things better. Here's a way that we can have a real solution. And when we do that, that will give people hope. And when you give people hope, you find people who usually don't vote all of a sudden start voting. How do I know that? 2016, both Bernie and Trump proved this to us. Trump gave the right hope, Bernie gave the left hope. And if the Democratic Party's infrastructure wasn't so broken, Bernie would have been their nominee. It would have been hope against hope. But it wasn't hope against hope. It was hope against establishment. And hope won. And that happened the last 3 presidential elections. Hope beat establishment each and every time. That's the new thing. This right now, I have to frame it as hope versus establishment. And again, I'm very lucky in this race. Not only is it a 5-way race, but of the 2 main parties, the old parties who are running, both of them are literally career politicians. There are people who've been been in politics since they were 18 years old, both of them. So I have the advantage of saying, it isn't just another Libertarian, which is awesome, but also I'm the non-establishment guy. So if I can focus this election on establishment versus non-establishment, hope versus establishment, I have a shot of winning.
Yeah, that is a good thing. Is a lot of people are getting tired of the establishment, and
absolutely,
you know, I hear. I mean, that's one of the things that's really pushing the Libertarian Party here in Oklahoma. Is, you know, people are getting tired of the establishment. That's what also did help Trump get elected.
Absolutely.
But
Oklahoma, you kind of have
thing.
the opposite thing that we have here, right? In New York State, it's a blue state. Oklahoma is much more of a red state. So as a general rule in New York State, the Democrats win when it comes to statewide elections all the time. Democrats win statewide, and the Republicans take the scraps because they know Democrats going to win. The state is not getting redder; it's getting bluer, and so Republicans are happy to take their secondary status, and they put up placeholders basically in statewide elections. I'm sure Oklahoma is the opposite. The Republicans win all the statewide elections, and Democrats put in placeholders when it comes to statewide elections. Is that true?
Yeah, and that is true. Yes, it is, because Oklahoma has not won Democrat in quite a long time, and same with New York. New York is, if you're a Republican, you're a minority.
Absolutely, but I'm sure Oklahoma does have some Democrats in urban areas. I would assume that's true.
Yes. In fact, in the town next to where I live is Democrat. In fact, if you're registered Republican, you're not running in the primaries.
There we go. Yeah, so what often happens, and this is across the country. New York, because it's a blue state, Republicans will still win locally, absolutely, but statewide they can't win. In Oklahoma, it's the reverse. Democrats win locally, but they can't win statewide. The same thing happens. So what happens is statewide, Party 1 becomes a champion party, Party 2 becomes the lapdogs. They fight just enough to make people believe that they're fighting, but in reality, they're happy taking the scraps. They're happy taking second place.
And do you see that also when it comes to bills and stuff like that? It seems like both parties really are for the same thing. They just fight for image.
Yes, that's correct. They fight just enough to make it seem like there's a difference, but then when it comes to governing, whichever party controls the state, they still get their agenda.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's how it works.
And the others just act like they're fighting for you, but really they're not. You know, I see that a whole lot, and that's why I try to explain to people. You know, when it comes to nationwide elections, both parties have had power, and look, nothing changes. You know, in fact, it gets worse and worse and worse and worse. Which is one of the things I always argue with people when it comes to libertarians. I mean, I'm like, so how is it working for you? You know, how about giving us a chance? You know, and I'm not saying
this is the issue. The issue is, are you satisfied with what's happening now? And if you are, and some people are doing well and are satisfied, if you're satisfied with how everything's running, keep voting red or blue. You'll be fine. The status quo keeps going. You're happy. Life is good. But if you're unhappy, why in the world do you keep voting red team, blue team? When we've been doing it for literally 30, 40, 50 years and nothing's been changing, you have to stop at one point. If you're doing well and life is good for you, I completely get why you keep voting red or blue. It makes sense. Life is good for you. But if you're complaining, if you're unhappy because your daughter or son is leaving your state, because your friends are packing up and going away, because you're in a dead-end job, because your education is horrible and you spent $100,000 for it and you can't get a job in your field, because all you worry about is if I'll go bankrupt next week because of healthcare costs, or why do I bother going to get educated because it has done nothing for me? Any of those things. If you have any of those problems, why do you keep voting red or blue? I keep saying it. Does it make any sense?
No, it's insanity. That's what it is.
Yes.
And you do a great job, and I'd like for you to explain to our party. What is? I love this. I've quoted you on it many times already on social network. What is the Libertarian Party? If you're to explain it to somebody.
Look, in the long run, the Libertarian Party is actually about the pursuit of happiness. Now, let me tell you how I explain this to both libertarians and then non-libertarians. To libertarians, I say it's about the pursuit of happiness. We as libertarians often get confused, and we say things like, no, it's about non-aggression, or it's about property rights, or it's about this philosophy. No, those are actually the means to the end, and it's where we get screwed up, because we say, well, it's all about liberty. When you say liberty to someone, they say, what are you talking about? Liberty? What? It's like the 1700s? You say freedom. They go, we're free. I get to go to work today. It doesn't land for the average person, but libertarians keep using those phrases. We say, well, don't you want to have more liberty, more freedom? They say, I don't know what that means. Here's the reality. What everybody wants is to be happy. And if for someone to be happy, you have to allow them to pursue happiness to the best of their own ability, whether you agree with it or not. Now, does that mean freedom and liberty? It does, but that's the means to the end. There's a second piece, though. Some people don't want to be free. And this blows the mind of the average libertarian. They can't grasp that. But some people don't want to be free. They should be free to not be free. If you don't want to be free, that's okay too. If that will make you happy for now, that's fine. But more importantly, I said for now, because there's nothing I could give you as a governor, as a president, as a father, as a friend, as a brother, nothing I can give you that would make you happy right now and keep you happy 10 years from now, because people change. What would have made you happy 10 years ago, probably wouldn't make you happy right now. You're a different person. You change. So our pursuit of happiness changes. You might have been in a place 10 years ago where you were like, you know what, I wish someone would just take care of me. And then now you might be like, no, I'm out there doing my thing. Who knows? I don't judge that. And libertarians have to understand this is not about liberty or freedom. It's about allowing people to pursue happiness. It was in our founding documents. It's about what this country is about. Libertarianism is what this country is about, your pursuit of happiness. Now, to a non-libertarian, to someone who's just an average person, here's what libertarian is. It is allowing someone to be as liberal as they want to be or as conservative as they want to be, as long as they don't want to force their views on others. If you don't want to force others to be like you, it's fine. We are about long-term solutions, not short-term solutions. We are about allowing culture to change, not just changing law. Here's to remember about law. Law, at the end of almost every law, is a person with a gun who will put you in a cage, and if you don't want to go in that cage, that person will kill you. What does that mean? That means that we should only use law, only when it is because we are protecting someone's rights or their property or their life or their health. If you are protecting something where there is a victim, then absolutely law is appropriate and effective and should be used. Law is force. Force should be used only when someone is initiating force upon you to hurt you, take your stuff, stop you from doing something. If someone's trying to stop your pursuit of happiness, force is absolutely okay. But because you don't like what someone does or who they are or who they love or what their lifestyle is or what music they like or what flag they wave or whatever the case may be, that is not enough reason for law. That's not enough reason for force. Now, I have to push this one step further now because of what's happening in our culture. That also means, with that in mind, just because I can't use force doesn't mean I can't voice my opinion or try to convince you that you're wrong. If I don't like who you love or substances you use or your lifestyle or the flag you fly, I have every right to say it. It's wrong. Yeah. I don't like it. You shouldn't do it. It's incorrect. You absolutely have the right to judge someone. Of course you do. You just don't have the right to force them to stop. You have to tell them you think they're wrong. You're going to convince them if you want to. If your argument works, I hope they stop doing whatever you don't like them doing. But they have no obligation to. It's up to them and up to you. Freedom of speech is important. So is freedom of association. All those things matter. I just don't want to use force.
Yeah, that's very well put because, and libertarians are often, you got conservatives that call us liberals and liberals that call us conservative.
Yes.
And I always tell people, and when it comes politically in society, we're neither. Now, personally,
yes.
we can be liberal and conservative. In fact, both Travis and I are extremely conservative in our personal life. Yep.
Yes.
We don't believe it's our place to, force someone else to, be conservative like what we believe is the correct way, Well,
it's funny that this is a thing that has to happen by default if you do this. And this is our biggest problem right now in our country. People always talk about why there is a massive left-right gap. And it's one important thing. Respect. No one brings this up. The reason why there are so many people who go into a camp of either conservative or liberal is because they believe the other side doesn't respect them. Many conservatives in my state are flocking to me. Why? I tell them, I'm not the best conservative. I'm not. Here's what I am, though. I'm a guy who respects your right to be as conservative as you want to be, and I will not infringe on your right to be who you want to be. And just that, they go, wow, you know what? Democrats don't believe that. And they're right. Democrats believe, no, you must change and be like me. This is why so many conservatives are coming to my side. Because I say, be conservative. If that's what makes you happy, please be conservative. I have a state in New York, to be clear. My governor literally said, there's no place for conservatives in this state.
Yes,
that's
I remember that. I was like, well, I'm
yes.
left.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. You followed his advice and you left. Yes.
Yep.
Exactly. I mean, that's what our governor, our current governor said. So, of course, I say, no, there's tons of room. Please stay. Come back. I want you. It's fine. But to be forward, I say the same for liberals, too. Most of the liberals are gonna live in cities, heavily in New York City, and that's great. Let Queens be Queens. Let Rochester be Rochester. Let Syracuse be Syracuse. Let Watertown be Watertown. If those of you don't live in New York, those are all New York towns. Let each town be itself. And some of those towns will be more conservative, and some will be more liberal, and those are both awesome things. Let them. That's a good thing.
That's what makes America great. And,
yes.
That's something I want everybody to know is we welcome conservatives and liberals. I mean, we have no problem with either one. Just don't force it on other people. That's
absolutely.
That's it,
Look,
and,
I think
I
the
grew up
answer
there.
is you want to do this by example, right? I have two things I can use, right? I can use my influence of my words and example. This is what I'm trying to. I want you to be like me, not because I force you, but because I've shown you an example that you happen to agree with. I hope you go, you know what? That's a good example. Let me copy some of those things. That's what I want people to do. That's long-term cultural change. This is the way we should be. I agree with that, so let me go do that. Not if I don't do it, the governor won't give me money. That's how it is now.
Yeah, and see, to tell you the truth, if you're really living the way you feel is correct, then you shouldn't have to force other people to do it. You should be
Absolutely.
able to use your life to show others, hey, this is what works, and if you have to use government's guns to force people to do what you believe is right, obviously what you're doing is wrong. That's the way I look at it.
That's exactly it. I agree.
Yeah. And let me tell you something. I grew up in the Catskill Mountains up there in New York. And
there we go.
it is beautiful. I love that area, and I took my wife and family up there. She grew up in Ohio, and I took them up there to visit my family, and she was like, "This is beautiful. I would love to live up here." I was like, "I'll tell you something. If they lower the taxes, make it so jobs are a lot easier, and get rid of half of not half, 3/4 of their laws, I'd move up there in a heartbeat." And
I know this is the part that's heartbreaking. You're totally right. It's heartbreaking. For people who don't know, if you come to upstate New York, particularly North Country, I mean, it's beautiful. New York State has – look, I'm going to promote my state for just 1 second. New York State, if you're in the middle of New York State, you can drive 3 hours in any direction and literally be in mountains as beautiful as Colorado, farmland that's as great as the Midwest, majestical falls – in Buffalo, the biggest city in the country, amazing lakes, rivers, anything you would want, from urban to suburban to rural, doesn't matter. It's amazing in this state, and the problem is our completely oppressive government has led to where most people want to walk away and leave, so you don't even know that it exists here, and you don't have a vibrant economy that can support people coming here and enjoying it. It's really heartbreaking.
Yeah. Hey, I got a question. This is in regards to our sponsor we're about to make a plug for. Tasers up there is illegal unless you have a permit, right? And both Travis and I, we carry tasers, and we always have to put them away when we go up there. New York. When we cross New York, we have to put them away. We have to lock them up, and that's terrible because tasers are non-lethal and they're good for self-defense without having to take someone's life, which is why I love them.
Well, no, remember the Second Amendment in New York State is not the Second Amendment; it's the Second Suggestion. That's how it works in New York State. Totally different. Yes, it's a second suggestion, which means you defending yourself, totally a suggestion. So we actually have eliminated mace, guns, tasers, flip knives, anything you can defend yourself with. No. If you can defend yourself with it, you might be able to hurt somebody with it, which means by default it's evil in New York State.
Yeah, and that is another thing that's very terrible because the fact that pretty much they've made it to where you have to depend on government and police, and the police can't be there unless you have a police officer in every corner. They can't be there all the time, especially out there in the country.
I completely agree. You'd be surprised that we even have a Republican Party in my state. The Republican Party in my state does not support the Second Amendment at all. I mean, it's a joke. They don't talk about it at all. The Republican Party is the one who says, common sense gun control. That's the Republican Party in New York State. The Democratic Party is like, ban all guns. Ban all guns. Only people who should have guns is cops. That is what Democratic Party says. Almost openly. Just like, if you're not a cop, you shouldn't have a gun. That's basically what they talk about. They absolutely want you. What you said was exactly right. New York State wants you to be dependent upon government in every way, shape, and form, not just for protection, for work, for jobs, for business, for family, for everything, health care. New York State wants you to be dependent upon the government. It is very hard to vote out the establishment when the establishment is how you survive. And they know that. That's why they're doing it. And it's working. To be forward, it's actually working.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And this is Larry Sharpe, everyone. And shoot, you could type his name anywhere. I mean, go on YouTube and type his name. You're going to see video on top of video on top of video of him. How else can people find you?
Well, remember, it's Larry Sharpe and the E stands for electable. And you can go to, you can go to Larry Sharpe for New York, the Facebook page, or LarrySharpe.com is the website. Larry Sharpe for New York is the YouTube page, and of course Larry Sharpe, just straight Larry Sharpe for Instagram or Twitter. I'm on all social media. Please enjoy. If you guys want to help out, I love it. If you want to volunteer, awesome. Number one thing you do for me, share. The more people who know who I am, the better off this is. Please, guys, share everything.
Yep, and to let everyone know, both I and our producer, Edith Jones, who does live in New York, support Larry Sharpe. So please take a look at his, his what he stands for, and we thank you so much for being on our show.
Thank you, my friend. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. And now for our next sponsor is Truckers Defense. Go to truckers-defense.com. They sell lots of ways to defend yourself. The tasers, all non-lethal ways to defend yourself. Of course, if you go into states like New York, you're not going to be able to get a taser unless you got a permit or something. But go there, check out their products. Great people to work with. Both Travis and I, as over-the-road truck drivers, we carry a taser with us because people have gone quanto crazy out there. There's truck drivers getting stabbed to death. It's very, very bad out there right now. People fighting over trucks parking and all that stuff. So go over there, check it out. In 45 of the 48 states that we travel, we can open carry these tasers. And a lot of people just look at mine. I got the Taser Pulse. And a lot of people just look at that and they see, they think I'm carrying a pistol. So, that alone is a deterrent. That's Truckers Defense. Check them out. Check out their prices. Great prices, great people to work with. We will be back after these commercial breaks.
The Liberty National Network.
Let's go inside the mind of a 10-year-old.
I should have worn those earrings today. I like those earrings. Gabby has those awesome earrings. I need to ask her where she got those, but that's just what she would want me to do. I'll have Michaela ask her for me.
Buckle up, Sarah.
Yeah, but then Michaela will be like, why don't you just ask her yourself? That's just like Michaela.
Sarah, buckle up.
Michaela's such a great name. I wish I was called Michaela. There's like a dozen Sarahs in my class.
Hey, we're not hitting the road until you buckle up, honey.
Oh, yeah, seatbelt. I forget sometimes because my brain is, busy, I wonder if there's pizza at school today.
Sometimes it can be tough to get through to your kids, but it's not impossible. Always make sure they're wearing their seatbelts, even on short drives. Remember, you have the keys, you have the power. Never give up until they buckle up. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council. Visit safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup for more information.
Horses are non-threatening. They're a majestic, magnificent creature. We see guys and gals find a great sense of inner peace and calmness as they start listening to the breathing of the horse, and they start grooming the horse, and they start being around the horse as much. Something magical starts happening with that connection that's hard to actually put into words, but it's palpable. You can feel it. You can feel that connection.
My name is Sterling Buckles, and I was a Lance Corporal with 2nd Battalion, 1st Marines, and I was injured in Operation Iraqi Freedom. I was actually hit in the head by a sniper bullet that penetrated through my helmet and collapsed the right side of my skull, and it was just a blessing that I survived it and got medevaced right away to Baghdad, where there was an Army brain surgeon gave me brain surgery to take all the fragments of the skull out of my brain and then put in 2 titanium plates. Coming back, I was diagnosed pretty much right away with 100% PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. And so, to say the least, life has been really difficult. Horses for Heroes program has been a real blessing to my life, to where now I feel like I have more of a purpose. That's a big thing coming back, is you were so important while you were serving in the military that you come back and you don't feel like you really have a purpose anymore in life, or that you're really behind the other 20-something-year-old people that, had done other choices with their lives. If I come down here and I feel really anxious and just filled with anxiety and nervous, and I spend a little bit of time with the horse, it seems like the horse calms me down, and my anxiety level just starts to really drop. So you're not really caring about yourself the whole time, but you're caring about something else. Really kind of gives me a good sense of accomplishment, and at the end of the day you're tired, but it's a good tired.
Hi, I'm Corinne, a student at Hillsdale College. Here is President of Hillsdale College, Dr. Larry Arnn, on the threat of bureaucratic despotism.
One of the chief sponsors of the Dodd-Frank Finance Reform Bill called that legislation, quote, about as important as it gets, because it deals with every single aspect of our lives, end quote. And how does this legislation deal with every aspect of our lives? In the most unconstitutional way. It sets up a board called the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, which has the power to regulate our economic transactions independently of both the President and Congress. In other words, permanent government employees are placed in charge of us beyond the control of those we elect, the control of we the people. This is a violation of the representative form of government without which there can be no constitutional government.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To receive a free pocket Constitution and Declaration, go to constitutionminute.com.
The Liberty National Network.
Travis Pope may sound like a big bad gorilla, but he is really a big cuddly teddy bear. You are listening to Political TNT on the Liberty National Network. If you want to be part of the show, dial 914-338-1906 and then press 1.
Welcome back to Political TNT. And Travis is not on right now. He's up. Number one, he's up there in Wyoming, so he may be in and out of signal. But also, he is getting loaded, and he's got tarp this load that he's on, and therefore he's not going to be on for a little bit. But we just got done talking with Larry Sharpe, and unfortunately, he had to go because he's a very busy person up there. He's got a huge task ahead of him. As you've heard with our discussion, he's really got two things to battle. Number one, the Democrats do have control up there when it comes to the statewide election. And also, to get people away from this fear of freedom, and that's really what it boils down to, is that having freedom is scary. It really is. Like I said earlier, it's like taking a child and saying, hey, you're on your own now. That's a very scary feeling. But if everybody remembers back, I know when I first left the house, right out of high school, going in the military. It was both scary and exciting at the same time. And really, we need to get people, excited about having the freedom. Think about it. Being able to live your life the way you want, being able to do what you want. That's what everyone should desire. And I'm one of those people that Larry was talking about as far as, we can't grasp the idea that people do not want to be free. It's beyond my understanding of why people would want to have somebody else telling them what to do all the time. And that's the way it is up there in New York. You're told what to do all the time, even on your own property, in your own house. How to raise a child, how to, you can't even go into a business without having a license. Not too long ago, New York, we had on this show, shut down a kid's lemonade stand. That's crazy. And really, New Yorkers, I really wish that you guys was for freedom. I do, because I would consider moving back real quick. It's not that I don't like Oklahoma. Oklahoma is a great state. It is. But the weather, I'm not, fond of the weather. I'm not fond of the, New York is beautiful, 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 beautiful country. It really is. And I do miss it in many ways. But, currently, no, I could not move back. I like freedom a lot more. And that's why I moved to Oklahoma, because I want the freedom. It's not just, being able to do whatever I want, which I do get to do out here in Oklahoma. But it's also, the whole idea, of the fact that I like to keep the money that I make. I got family to support. I'm looking out for them. I'm sorry, I'm greedy that way, if you want to call it greedy. Our family helps out those that are less fortunate, so we're not greedy. But according to, a lot of people, I guess we are, because of the fact that we're not willing to give the majority of our money to the government. And that's how it works up there in New York. Just to get my CDL up there is extremely expensive compared to down here in Oklahoma. Property tax, you guys don't own property up there, first of all. You guys don't. You guys are renting it from the government. But it was great having him on the air, Larry Sharpe on, because he explains things so good. And if you listen to him, you can tell he's a New Yorker, because of the fact that, he's as soon as something's brought up, he's really wanting to, get in there and talk about it, I've seen him on many of the YouTube videos, the interviews and stuff, and he really can, of course, being on our show, we didn't really get in debate or anything, because of the fact that I agree with him on, everything he says. He's 100% correct, about what Libertarian is, and, about, the problems up there in New York. Unfortunately, he only could be on a half hour. Those are things I wanted to bring up, and one of them, which I'll go ahead and bring up, is MTA, which that's Metropolitan Transit I believe Association or something like that. They pretty much control New York City's transportation, and they are in a total mess. Get on Twitter and do #MTA. Okay, you're gonna see tweets, of all kinds of problems that they're having, people complaining about. And, with the whole thing with their delay, the delays are terrible. Imagine this, so many people are so dependent on mass transit in New York. So many people. I remember I went in the Navy, And there were people from New York City, that joined the Navy. They didn't even have their driver's license, which to me was just mind-blowing, because growing up in the Catskill Mountains in New York, if you were of legal age to drive and you were a male and you did not have your driver's license, something was wrong with you. All right. I'm sorry. I know some of my friends didn't get their driver's license. But, it was just the rite of passage, I guess is what you would say. But in New York City, it's totally different because of the fact that driving any place in New York, finding a place to park, can be really, really a hassle. And therefore, there are a lot of people who depend on the MTA to get them to work and stuff. And just imagine this. You are dependent on that subway system to get to work. And it's constantly being delayed. What that means is that you really have to leave early. I mean, you might as well be driving because, the traffic is that way too. You have to leave early, get to work, on time, which means you're sitting in the office for, good half hour or so, before anyone even gets in. But the subway systems, they're having a lot of problems, and the subway system currently has the government. They control the government. The MTA does, not just the subway system. MTA, because I've seen where they've gone on strike, and they got so much power by using that strike, against the people. And Larry Sharpe says no. The government will not be a slave to the MTA. And, what this basically means is that, he's going to fight them. And I believe he can. I bet he can win, people. He's a Marine. He's a New Yorker. He is tough. And I truly believe that he can get the MTA fixed. And they'll probably fight him everyone's which way because of the fact they don't want the MTA. And see, I'm not 100% sure on this, but I'm pretty positive that the MTA gets government funding. Okay, I'm pretty positive. I don't know any mass transits that can be self-sustained. So, therefore, if they are getting government funding, then they should be held, possible by the government. Now, if they're not getting government funding, let's say they're 100% self-funded, which would be amazing. And I would be then like, yay, because I don't think, I think if it's a private company, then they shouldn't be giving government funding. Then, it should be the case where they don't need the government for anything. And the people should be able to, if they don't like the way the MTA is working, they should be able to find other ways to get around. And see, that's one of the things that I saw in an interview with Larry Sharpe on that subject, If they go on strike, the people, it's going to be hard at first, but the people should be able to find other ways of getting around. Over in Europe, I see a lot of bikes. I don't know how far people are traveling to work in New York City and surrounding cities, but bike is definitely one way. It's a healthy way too. Walking, taxis, and see that's the other thing he wants to fix is the taxi service. Currently, they use what is it, tokens or something like that. The government, controls how many cabs and so forth. He wants to open that up. And this goes hand in hand. Open that up. Make it to where anyone can start up a taxi service. Let the people decide how many cabs are on the street. And what I mean by let the people is if there's a demand, then you need more. Okay? If there's shortage of cabs, more cab people will start up a cab service. Okay? And that would make it to where so many people are not. I truly wonder if the reason that the government of New York is controlling how many cabs can be on the road so that the MTA has a monopoly. Then this would not, and this isn't far-fetched, people. This is how the government works. These regulations are actually put in place by corporations, by companies, big companies. This is how the regulations are set. The company goes, and we see this in the trucking industry. I'm not speaking from theory or anything like that. I see it in the trucking companies. The big companies go to government and say, hey, we need this regulation. We are in support of this regulation. One of the big ones that the big companies use is environment. Yes, the environmentalists are being used. And public safety as far as, sleep and stuff like that. This the big fear of a truck driver falling asleep behind the wheel or being too tired to drive and make good decisions. Those are the two things that big companies use. And Travis and I did do a show on this, which was we used proof through an organization that is run by large trucking companies. And this is where regulations come in. The regulations you guys think that government is making because they love you somehow is the regulations that that corporations use to secure their business, to create a monopoly and shut down the smaller businesses. Larry Sharpe, he talks about in one interview about, the big cab companies that use these tokens, medallions, the government regulations to prevent smaller guys from forming up. And yes, that is exactly how it's done. That is exactly how it's done. This is how it's done in the trucking industry. You got these mega companies that are able to keep the smaller companies down to prevent them from growing by using these regulations that the smaller companies cannot possibly, pay for or be able to meet the requirements. And this is what exactly the big that libertarians like Larry Sharpe want to end. New York, look at where you guys are now. You guys are it's same thing with California. California, you guys got to do the same thing. California and New York, you guys do have a very good state. You guys have lots of potential. You guys have lots of scenery, lots of different climates and stuff like that. And, Larry Sharpe was talking about you can drive. And this is how it was in the area I grew up. We had the people from the city that would come up to Sullivan County every summer. That's where a lot of people took their summer vacation. We didn't even get people from Florida driving up to New York, Sullivan County, New York every summer. They just drive back in the wintertime because they didn't want to deal with the snow. Me, I love the snow. I loved it, especially growing up as a kid. Oh, man, the snow forts, all that stuff. Of course, there was the shoveling the driveway and stuff like that. The sleigh rides, all great memories of my childhood. You got everything up there. I mean, everything. You got the Four Seasons. I mean, that is wonderful. It never gets boring. That's one of the things I do criticize about Oklahoma. I'm sorry, Oklahoma. It gets boring. All right. I mean, we got those different weathers. I mean, trust me, being in Oklahoma, you can't be a wimp. You got tornadoes, you got the winds, you got the ice. We do get ice storms through here. We get a little bit of snow, but nothing compared to like New York, where you actually can enjoy it with the kids and stuff. Building the snowmen and all that. And in New York, but New York, you got the summers, which is very, very comfortable compared to Oklahoma. Very comfortable summers, nice summers, where it's warm enough you can go swimming, but not to where you don't have the humidity, so you actually get to enjoy the summers. You got the spring, which is very nice, crisp mornings, but yeah, also you got the nice warm days. Then you got the winter, which yes, very, very cold, very, very, very cold. But you got the snow and all that you can play in. And then you have the fall, which is beautiful. And again, crisp, cool mornings, but also nice during the daytime. You got it all up there. Very nice area. Like I said at the beginning of the show, I do highly recommend people go up there and take a visit. I mean, if you like the country, upstate New York. And now, if you like the city, New York City is also great. One of the good things with New York City, a lot of truck drivers do pick on New York City and stuff, but one of the good things, even though you don't have a lot of truck stops up there, again, heavy regulation and all that makes it very, very difficult. But New York City is also very crowded. But the cool thing about New York City that I didn't mind going there, with the exception of the tolls, and one of the interviews, by the way, Larry Sharpe wants to get rid of the tolls. Which that is great. Truck drivers up there, if you're ever registered to vote, take a look at Larry Sharpe, But one of the things with New York City is, you can park your truck at almost any mall, any shopping center, any place where you can pull a truck into. I've never been given any hard time about, pulling a truck in there. And I had one student with me who was from Chicago, and we got into, big debate, which pizza is better, Chicago or New York. I was like, oh, no. New York pizza, very, very good. A lot better than Chicago. And one time we did end up taking a load up there, and we end up sitting the night, so what I did is I pulled into a shopping center. And one of the great things in New York is you can just look around and you'll find all kinds of food, anything you're looking for. And sure enough, right in that shopping center was a mom-pop pizza place. I took him in there and I bought him a pizza, and I mean, big slice of pizza and big toppings and lots of toppings. And he ate that, and he was like, wow, you know what? New York pizza is good. So, another great thing about New York, you guys have all the different authentic foods up there. I mean, everything. I mean, of course, down south, they're known more for the Mexican and stuff like that. But, I mean, Italian, Irish, I mean, because so many of the countries, or a lot of people from the Europe and Greece Greece, yeah, you got lots of Greek foods up there. A lot of people in the these different countries, that's one of the places they go to, New York. You know, so you got all the different, you know, authentic foods. You got, you know, different cultures there. You know, very, very diverse area. Hey, earlier in the show, I talked about changes in our show. And before we go on break, let me discuss these changes real quick. Both Travis and I will be driving regional. And this, because of that, we're going to have weekends off. What that means, if you guys have been listening to the show, you know that normally when I'm home, I made an exception this time, but normally when I'm home, I don't do the show. And that's because I'm a huge family type person. I believe if you're home, spend time with your family, especially if you're an over-the-road truck driver. Spend time with your family. Shut everything down and focus on the family. Okay? Very important message for everyone. Focus on your family. Family is important, especially if you have kids. You got to raise those kids. Also, I got lots of work to do at home. All right? So, therefore, I never did a show while at home. Well, this means that weekends we will not be doing the show no more. No more Sunday show. We normally do all of our interviews on Sunday. From now on, we're going to be doing the show Monday evening, Wednesday morning, and Friday morning. Those are our 3 days that we're going to be doing. And I'm going to be posting on Facebook and Twitter and on our website our hours. We're going to be starting the show, I believe, 6 p.m. on Monday, and our shows are 2 hours long, so it's going to be 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Mondays, which that will come in handy for the people who work during the daytime and, you know, they want to catch our show. And then we'll be doing it Wednesday at the same time that we normally do it, which is, and this is all Central Time, by the way, everyone, which will be 9 to 11, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m., and then Friday, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. And what we're wanting to do, we're going to have to experiment with this for a while, but we're going to be doing our interviews on Monday evening. All right? So note those dates and time. Like I said, I'll be posting them on Twitter, and I'll be posting it on Facebook, on Political TNT. That's Twitter at Political TNT. You can also find us on Facebook. We are being picked up by a lot of podcast companies now. We do have another one that we've been picked up by, which I'll be announcing at the end of our show. But I got to take a commercial break. We'll be back right after these messages.
The Liberty National Network.
Where do you want to go to lunch? I'm having a stroke. Did you hear what I said? I'm having a stroke. Why aren't you answering me? I'm having a stroke.
When someone is having a stroke, they may not be able to say it with words, but their body language will tell you loud and clear. Look for FAST. F. Face drooping. A. Arm weakness. S. Speech difficulty. T. Time to call 911 immediately. Know the sudden signs. Spot a stroke fast. Visit strokeassociation.org. Brought to you by the American Stroke Association and the Ad Council.
The oldest existing human that we know of is the 5,300-year-old body of a man, frozen in ice, that was uncovered by climbers in the Italian Alps in 1991. His name is Ötzi, the Iceman, and aside from being extremely well preserved, he was remarkable for another reason: the 61 tattoos that adorned his body. For as long as we've been on the planet, humankind has marked their bodies to commemorate important events, imply meaning, or signify value. Everything from a sailor's inscription of a lost lover's name to the tribal markings of indigenous peoples denoting a ceremony or achievement reminds us that using permanent markings can be one of the clearest ways to show what's meaningful to us. As it turns out, we aren't the only ones who do this. God does too. Listen to this powerful verse in Isaiah. See, I have engraved you on the palms of my hands. That verse is part of a passage where God reminds his people that he has not forgotten them, even during an extended period of captivity. And while the most important part may seem to be the fact that God has engraved or tattooed the name of his people on his body, it's worth considering where that engraving occurs. His hands. A lot has changed in the lives of human beings over the years, but we still use our hands for nearly every daily task imaginable. We look at them hundreds, maybe even thousands of times each day. The implication here is powerful, that our names are never out of God's sight. I want us to think about that. If your own life's commitments were to be written on your hands, what would they be? Work, school, your career? Or would they be the names of people in your life, family members, friends, and those inside or outside of your church community? It's often easy to lose sight of what matters amidst the hustle and bustle of our lives, but I think this verse and the principle it embodies ought to be a powerful reminder to all of us of two things: to put first things first in our lives and remind us of our Heavenly Father's love for us. I want you to picture his hands right now, the same hands that knit the galaxies together, and then picture your own name, tattooed in his skin. Powerful, isn't it? Our God has marked us into his heart as permanently as ink sets into our skin. We are always in his mind, always in his eyes, and always in his heart. I'm Joseph Tkach, speaking of life.
Hi, I'm Joy, a student at Hillsdale College. Here is President of Hillsdale College, Dr. Larry Arnn, on why the Constitution limits government.
James Madison writes in Federalist 51 that men are not angels. Their passions and self-interest often get the better of their reason and sense of justice. So we need government in order to protect our rights against those who would take them away. But for the same reason, Madison writes, government must be limited, because people in government have passions and interests too. Many Americans today forget this, supposing that we can do away with constitutional limits on government, supposing that the unelected bureaucrats being put in charge of our health care, for example, will rule as if they are angels. If Madison was correct about human nature, this is foolish and dangerous.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To receive a free pocket Constitution and Declaration, go to constitutionminute.com.
The Oklahoma Tomcat thinks he is a big tough cat, but he is actually as harmless as a kitten. You are listening to Political TNT on the Liberty National Network. If you want to be part of the show, dial 914-338-1906 and then press 1.
Welcome back to Political TNT, and Travis is still missing in action. Here shortly, I'll probably have to call the local authorities or something to try to hunt the guy down. But makes me he's tarping up there in Wyoming in the summertime, and we want to make sure he's safe. Of course, we don't want him arrested or anything because that would be against Libertarian principles, but we want to make sure he's safe, So it'd be what do they call that whenever they send the police to check a wellness check? That's what it is. We'll do a wellness check on him. But there's no fear, though. I've still got control here. You guys get to hear my lovely, lovely voice, and hear from a person that's as great as I am. Which makes you guys great, because the fact that I'm great makes you guys great because you guys are listening to my greatness. By the way, anyone who's wondering where I get that from, I get it from Trump because, he's so great, so he says, and, everyone around him is great, because he's great. Well, our last half hour here, we're going to talk about something in the trucking industry, which is normally what this half hour is set aside for, is trucking. Because, the trucking industry is very much affected by regulation, big government, and stuff like that. So one of the things that Travis and I want do on the show is to expose, how bad big government is, even in the trucking industry. Sadly, there are a lot of truck drivers who do not vote, but yet very opinionated in what is going on, which, again, goes back to one of them things where I'm like, so why not get involved, But, one of the bad things in the trucking industry is I do find that a lot of truck drivers are actually getting, wanting bigger government, not realizing that it's a big government that's actually killing them. That's actually hurting our industry. It again goes back to, the whole idea, of wanting to be taken care of by the government, not realizing that the government is actually your enemy that's actually hurting you. But anyway, let me get on to the actual subject here. It's hours of service. The FMCSA calls on stockholders to get involved on hours of service proposal. And what this is, if you guys have been listening to the show, we have been talking about, the doing away with the 30-minute break and allowing for the 14-hour clock to be able to be stopped. This was actually, being pushed by OIDA. A petition was put out there, got enough signatures, and now the government is actually looking into it. The 30-day clock is officially ticking to submit comments on the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration hours of service, advance notice of proposed rulemaking. The agency announced, the agency announced it would be opening up a rulemaking to consider changes to the hours of service regulations on Tuesday, August 21st. So they're already taking considerations. They're actually taking people going in and asking. The notice officially published on the Federal Register on Thursday, August 23rd. I'm sorry. The reason I'm delaying every once in a while because I have to go back to the studio every once in a while and see if Travis can return. Following the Tuesday announcement, Ray Martinez, administrator of FMCSA, and Joe, I'm not going to try to pronounce his last name, FMCSA Director of Enforcement and Compliance, sat down with Landline's host Mark Redding to talk about the advance notice of proposed rulemaking. So, yeah, they talked back and forth for a while. And if you go to Landline, you'll see this article, and you'll also be able to see where you can listen to the whole interview. An advance notice of proposed rulemaking is an information gathering phase of the rulemaking process, to put it simple, and that message was driven home during the interview with Reddick. I'm skipping over the act where they're quoting the interview and stuff like that. The only major revision of the regulations happened more than a decade ago. That is one of the reasons why Martinez feels it is important to revisit the rule. It's been 15 years since hours of service have been seriously addressed in that time. Obviously, there's been the introduction of these, but the market has also changed somewhat. We know that the things are different. So where is it say what do they list? Let me check out the thing here. I think it has to do with the 30-minute rule. The 30-minute break. And I'm opening up another page here to... Yeah, here we go. Okay. All right, this what I was actually looking for. The agency announced an upcoming advance notice of proposed rulemaking that will consider changes to 4 areas of the current hours of service regulations. Expanding the current 100-mile short haul exemption from 12 hours on duty to 14 hours on duty in order to be consistent with the rules of long-haul truck drivers. Expanding the current 14-hour duty limitation by up to 2 hours when a truck driver encounters adverse driving conditions. Revising the current mandatory 30-minute break for truck drivers after 8 hours of continuous driving, and reinstating the option of splitting up the required 10-hour off-duty rest break for drivers operating trucks that are equipped with a sleeper berth compartment. So it looks like they're going to bring back some of the old rules, which that's good. I like getting rid of the 30-minute break, and I like the being able to extend the 14-hour on duty. That's different than what I was thinking. Because I thought they were going to allow you to be able to stop your 14-hour clock if you decide to stop and take a nap or something like that. That looks like it's just for adverse driving conditions. But that's good too. And that's splitting the 10-hour sleeper, and that's actually probably what they're talking about there, is where you can stop and take a nap or something, and stop that 14-hour clock. I think that's probably what that's talking about there. But I'm fully in support of these changes. Now, they do have a website here for you guys to visit, which I will bring that up for you. And I will tweet this out and post it on Political TNT's Facebook page. It is www.regulations.gov. Oh man, I'm just going to tweet this out and post it on Facebook because it's quite a bit. But you'll find it on regulations.gov is where you'll find it, and just do a search for hours of service of drivers. I believe they have docket numbers, don't they? Anyway, get on there. They do have a search on their website there. Regulations.gov, and do a search for hours of service of drivers. And like I said, this will be tweeted out, and it will be posted on our Facebook page. People really, drivers, please get out there, okay? get out there and let our lawmakers know how you feel about all this stuff, okay? Because government has lots of control over the trucking industry. I mean, we are a heavily regulated industry, and that makes it extremely hard. Travis and I have talked about many times about, when we talk amongst ourselves, we've talked, about how, the pay for the truck driver is really not changed a lot, and in many cases have gone down. And it's a lot of it has to do with these regulations, and also that's what's causing the shortage of truck drivers. And really there's not a shortage of truck drivers. What it is there's a shortage of experienced truck drivers. Truck drivers that have been out here for a long time. A lot of them are, giving it up because of these heavy regulations and everything that burden us and make it to where you ask yourself, why am I out here? As I've said many times, I'm an over-the-road truck driver because of the fact that, number one, I do love the job. It used to be about a lot of freedom. It's not so much anymore because of the fact all these regulations. We're not so much regulated by our boss. We're regulated by the government. The government's our boss, and it shouldn't be that way. It shouldn't be that way. So we see a lot of what big government does and how it does not help us. It hurts us. It hurts us a whole lot. So drivers, please get on here. And as far as me, I support these changes. I support them. It looks like they're lightening up the regulations on us a bit. All right. In fact, some of these, I'll go down them real quick. Expanding the current 100 air mile short haul exemption from 12 to 14 hours on duty in order to be consistent with the rules of long haul truck drivers. And really, that only makes sense. Why was the short haul working less hours than the long haul? If someone can work 12 hours, everyone should work 12 hours. If somebody can work 14 hours, everybody should be allowed to work 14 hours. It shouldn't be one or the other. And really, it really makes no sense when you think about the fact that, currently, now Travis and I are regional. We're doing the same amount of work as short hauls. We're picking up and delivering every day. So, it made no sense that the short haul drivers could only work 12 hours. That made no sense. If a regional driver can work 14 hours, why can't a short haul driver? You can give them more hours, let them make more money. And this is where the regulations also are funny because, sometimes they make no sense at all. You can tell there's a bunch of desk jockeys that are making these rules. Extending the current 14-hour on-duty limitation by up to 2 hours when a driver encounters adverse driving conditions. And this is also good because we do encounter problems out here that are unforeseen, and this here will give us 2 extra hours to be able to find a place to park. And that's basically what it is. These exemptions aren't supposed to be used so you can get more driving time. They should be used so that you can get to a safe place to park. And really, I say it should be longer than 2 hours because some areas there's no place to park. If you are delayed for any reason, you could be caught in an area with no place to park that truck. That's not a problem we have is there's not enough truck parking. All right, and then revising the current mandatory 30-minute break for truck drivers after 8 hours of driving, continuous driving. They say revising, but they don't say how. And maybe if we go to that regulations.gov, maybe it will. Actually, I'm on it right now. Federal e-rulemaking portal. Following. Where does it talk about the? That's another thing. Go on these government websites and wow. Maybe that's why so many people don't. All right, here we go. Short haul operations. Yep, it gives you the 14-hour window instead. Adverse weather driving conditions. The current rule allows 2 additional hours of driving time under adverse conditions, which are defined as snow, sleet, fog, and adverse weather conditions. A highway covered with snow or ice or unusual road and traffic conditions, none of which were apparent on the basis of information known to the person dispatching the run at the time it was begun. Although the rule allows up to 13 hours of driving time under adverse conditions instead of the normal 11 hours, it does not provide a corresponding extension of the 14-hour driving window. So what this will do is give a driver 16 hours instead of 14 hours. 30-minute break. Under the driver is not permitted if more than 8 hours have passed since driving is not permitted if more than 8 hours have passed since the end of the driver's last off-duty or sleeper berth period of at least 30 minutes. The 30-minute break rule does not apply to drivers who operate CMVs within 100 air miles. So those drivers that didn't have to take the 30-minute break. Or to drivers who do not need a commercial driver's license. I'm getting a warning that our show is about to end. Go to regulations.gov and check that out. As I was saying before, we are being picked up by more blogging sites, which is great. Our message is getting out there. We are now on Spreaker. That's www.spreaker.com. Go on there, look for Political TNT, and you'll find our us on there. If you missed any part of the show or any of our shows in the past, go there, check us out, listen to our shows. Please be sure to like us and follow us. You can also go to PTAT, that's Papa Tango Alpha Tango .show. Go there, check out our website. You'll have a great day. And I'm looking for our end show right now. No. Y'all have a great day. Take care.
You've reached the High Fashion Hotline.
Hi, my family has big plans for Labor Day weekend, but our outfits aren't measuring up.
Then get to Old Navy.
Old Navy?
Yep, Old Navy's huge Labor Day sale is on now. Get 50% off all jeans, 50% off all dresses, 50% off all tees, and 50% off all sweatshirts and hoodies for the whole family.
50% off all those styles? That's a big deal.
So is this. Styles start at just $6 at Old Navy and OldNavy.com.
Change of plans. We're spending the weekend at Old Navy.
High fashion, Old Navy. Valid 8/30 to 9/3. Excludes in-store clearance. Active licensed and men's package tees. You've reached the High Fashion Hotline.
Hi, my family has big plans for Labor Day weekend, but our outfits aren't measuring up.
Then get to Old Navy.
Old Navy?
Yep, Old Navy's huge Labor Day sale is on now. Get 50% off all jeans, 50% off all dresses, 50% off all tees, and 50% off all sweatshirts and hoodies for the whole family.
50% off all those styles? That's a big deal.
So is this. Styles start at just $6 at Old Navy and OldNavy.com.
Change of plans. We're spending the weekend at Old Navy.
High fashion, Old Navy. Valid 8/30 to 9/3. Excludes in-store clearance. Active licensed and men's package tees.